Hi, chemistry students. Welcome to this course, Semester 1 of Chemistry with Amazing Grace Virtual Academy. My name is Elizabeth Bamer, and I'm going to use this welcome video as an overview for this semester in chemistry. So we're going to jump right into it. I will try to keep this short and sweet. Please message me or email me, call or text me. I'll share all those contact details with you if you do have any questions, but it's great to have you here. So when you log into your Moodle account, you'll see Chemistry 25 to 26. This is semester 1. This course starts on Tuesday, August 26th. And as you open up the course, you'll see a section right underneath the course name, Chemistry, that says Announcements. And it's in the announcement section that I will list weekly announcements, and I usually post them very early Monday morning of each week to give you your assignments for that week. I lay out my course week by week where you have kind of all week to do your assignments, and I'll always list kind of what you should be working on that week in the announcements that will be posted on Monday. Here's the first announcement posted where I have my welcome video attached. We'll go through the welcome activity discussion together, and then you have links to both my LinkedIn page where you can learn a little bit more about me and my professional background. So if you click my name, it'll open up my LinkedIn page, which just gives you, a little bit more about my education and background. So feel free to take a look at that. And then I have my email address and my cell phone number. My cell phone number is a Google Voice number. I'll explain why that is. And then my email address is there, but feel free to message me via Moodle or email me or text or call me at any time you might need, and I'll get back to you within 24 hours. Then we go to the instructor's office forum. This is a public forum where you can post your questions and anyone in the class can respond to them. There's only about 4 of you in this first semester of chemistry, so just keep in mind whatever you post here, everyone will be able to see. If you want a more direct message from me, you can message me, email me directly. Um, I'm willing to meet with you via Zoom and hold office hours whenever is convenient for you. So please let me know if you have extra questions, and I'm happy to set up a time to meet with you via Zoom to answer any questions you might have. And then we get to the welcome activity discussion that I would like you guys to do this week, just for me to get to know you a little bit more. This course is totally asynchronous, so we don't have any live course meetings. So I use this welcome activity discussion to get to know you. Please answer these questions, where you're from, what are your 5 or 10-year goals, and what's your favorite Bible verse? And then I introduce myself to you a little bit. So here's a picture of my family, my husband. We have 4 children. We currently just moved to Mexico City, where my husband is a missionary with the Wisconsin Synod. I think some of you are familiar with our church body. Before this, we lived in Ecuador for almost 5 years, and we just recently moved to Mexico City. When my husband was in seminary, I got a master's degree in biology, and I currently teach online for several university systems in the United States, teaching courses like biology, chemistry, anatomy, physiology, and Spanish. And I'm a student as well. I just started a PhD program specializing in education, kind of with a leadership emphasis. So I'm excited to be here and help you in your chemistry journey. My favorite Bible verse comes from the Great Commission, and especially the end where Jesus promises his disciples and us that surely I'm with you always, even to the very end of the age. And I hope you remember that as you guys go forward in your life and are making maybe decisions about your future, college plans, that Jesus always goes with you. So that's a little bit of an introduction. There also is a general questions forum where you can add a discussion topic if you have general questions. But again, feel free to email me or call me if you have any specific questions. All right, and please do that welcome activity. Introduce yourself. Then there's some general course information where I link the welcome video. Here's a link to the course syllabus, which is kind of off of the Amazing Grace Virtual Academy website. So you can read through the course syllabus. There's no textbook required because I do provide it for you. Here's a rubric for all of our discussion posts. You will have weekly discussion posts. Because this is an online class, we try to get as many contact hours as possible. And when doing these discussions with your classmates, I usually ask for an initial post where you have to kind of solve a problem or answer a question that I give you. And then your reply posts need to be to your classmates, at least 2 of them every week. And your reply posts should be well thought out, maybe asking a question to continue the discussion a little bit. And I'll give you examples of that. Every week I have a discussion maybe that has you solve a problem kind of with your classmates. And if you're confused about it, that's an area where you can kind of work on solving the problem together. I'm in there during the week as well, so I can see how that problem is going for you. And then here's the curriculum guide and assignment list for semester one. It'll open up a document, and I will open that up for you and share my screen to show you what that looks like. And I do this for each semester. So you see that everything is laid out by weeks, and I call each week a module. So there's 16, 17, 18 weeks, 18 modules in a semester. The last two are kind of review, but you can see kind of the lessons that we go through each week, the weeks and dates of the module, and then the assignments due. The assignments due every week are all very similar. Simply put, I have you read the lessons in the textbook, watch my videos that I created on those lessons, take and submit on Moodle lesson notes. So pretty much every week you're watching a video about the lesson, you're reading your textbook, you're taking notes and submitting those notes kind of for a weekly homework assignment. There's a weekly discussion where you're kind of interacting with your classmates to solve a problem or answer a question. And then every week I usually have some sort of lab or activity. Sometimes labs will take 1 or 2 weeks. And there's usually a quiz every week or a test. So those are kind of the assignments that are laid out every week. And you can see all of them in that curriculum guide and assignment list. All right, so then you'll notice on the Moodle page that all of the modules are laid out for you with the dates. I need to go in and update some of the dates. The first 2 modules are ready for you, the Introduction to Chemistry and Module 2. But every week under each module heading, you'll see the dates for that week. And all of my weeks start on a Monday or a Tuesday because that's when school's starting. And then next week is Labor Day. So, but most of the time, all my weeks or all my modules start on Monday morning and they end on Sunday at midnight. And then you have the freedom to work on those assignments as you wish throughout the week. There will be quite a few assignments because being a high school chemistry course, we're required to give you so many minutes of work every day. So it's a little overwhelming at first, maybe to see the amount of work you have to do every week, but just know that you have the whole week to do it up until Sunday night at midnight Central Time when all of your assignments are due. And out of those daily assignments, and I would encourage you to set aside time each day to work on your chemistry course. Some of you might be full-time students, some of you might be part-time, but if you can set aside, 30 to 40 minutes a day to read your textbook, watch the lesson videos, do the notes. These are this week's and Module 1 activities. The lessons in your textbook correspond to the chapter and then the lesson number. So 1.1 would be chapter 1, lesson 1. And 1.2 is chapter 1, lesson 2. And I'll go ahead and show you what the textbook looks like. We have an online version of the textbook that's linked to my Google Drive account. We have physical copies of these textbooks as well, stored in the principal's house. So that's how we get along by the copyright issues. We have the physical textbooks, and then we share the PDFs with you. So you can see that each textbook is labeled by chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're only going to get through about chapters 12 in this chemistry course. But when you open up chapter 1, it opens up a PDF of the textbook, and you're free to get a physical copy of this as you want. It's you can see that it's Pearson Chemistry 2012, and you can see the lessons are labeled for you, and then it goes through the textbook. And I would encourage you to read this textbook every week because it will be very, very helpful. Sometimes I ask your discussion questions are from the textbook. For this week, you need to read through 1.1 Scope of Chemistry and 1.2 Chemistry and You. And then next week, you read through the next couple sections. And at the end of next week is already your first test on chapter 1. But that's what the textbook looks like. And you guys have access to all the chapters. Here is a link to my YouTube channel. So I'm going to pull that up. You can play it right in here. I'm going to pull it up on YouTube.
This is one of my favorite
And
little.
I'm just going to pause it here, and you can see there's a playlist called Amazing Grace Virtual Academy Chemistry. And this is where all of my lesson videos are for the entire year, really. You'll also see I'll put my welcome video in here. So these are all the lesson videos. So this week you're going to want to watch through 1.1 and 1.2. All of these lesson videos are between maybe 5 minute. No, I don't know if any of them are that short, but maybe 5 or 6 minutes up to maybe 20 or 25 minutes. These lesson videos are meant to be short, succinct videos about each individual lesson. And then keeping in mind that you will be taking notes as you read the textbook. The notes page you can get when you open up the notes link, also linked to my Google Drive folder where you see chapter 1 notes shown here. And you can print these off. It's a Word document, so you can type in your notes. At the top, the first page is like a study guide for chapter 1 and some major vocabulary you should know. And then you have kind of sections where I give you like an outline of how I want you, you can like use this outline to take your own notes, like major points. You can add, there's a space to put in other strong or important points. And then there's always assessment questions. These assessment questions I want you to answer and put in your answers at the bottom of each note because I do check to make sure that you've completed them. So this is section 1.1. Then we have a note page for section 1.2 and so forth. But keep in mind, each kind of note page corresponds to a section, the chapter, and the lesson number. There's some kind of pre-made notes for you. There's space for you to take your own notes. If you're wondering what to put in this own note section, maybe define all the key terms and maybe list the major topics that it covers and describe them. And then be sure to answer the assessment questions. So that's what taking and submitting notes looks like. There's the module 1 discussion then has you read an article that says, why do I have to study chemistry with it? Which I think a lot of students wonder sometimes. We'll go through that in a moment. There's a lab 1 literature review due in 2 weeks. I give you 2 weeks to do the first lab. And then there's a quiz due this week as well. And all that quiz is pretty simple. Here are the learning materials you'll use for week 1. And then here are the activities and assessments. So I have everything laid out for you. This is where you submit your notes for module 1. And you can see that there should be a submission option to submit either a picture of the notes you've taken and written in, or you can submit a Word document as well. Then there's a module 1 discussion forum, which has you open up this article, why do I have to study chemistry? And I give you some kind of prompts here. Post your initial post by Wednesday at midnight Central Time, describing why you think chemistry is important in your life. Give an example in your own life where you see chemistry concepts. And then you need to reply to 2 or more classmates discussing the post. Do you agree with their idea? Do you disagree? Ask them a question to continue the discussion. And that's what a weekly discussion post will look like. And here's the article, why do I have to study chemistry? Okay, back to module 1, the introduction to chemistry module. Then you see the quiz, which will be on lessons 1.1 and 1.2. And then you're probably wondering, well, I heard a lab was mentioned. Where do I have to do that? The lab 1 literature review is due in 2 weeks. So I actually have that assignment in the next module, but you can already take a look at it. This is the lab 1 literature review. So let's take a look at this. You need to view this document with the instructions and upload your literature review. So you need to pick a chemistry paper from a peer-reviewed journal. And these are some examples of journals from Science, Nature, Royal Society. And you just need to read it. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to comprehend everything you're reading, but you need to answer these 5 questions. What's the main question or problem that that journal article is trying to ask? How is the question addressed? Like what techniques or methods or experiments they're doing to try to answer the problem? Summarize the data and results, the conclusions, and what could be done with the knowledge gained. Could this be applied anywhere else? And this is worth 50 points. And this is just to get you a little bit into looking at journal articles. So a peer-reviewed journal article is how scientists share their information in labs that they're working on. So, people who are in labs making discoveries are held accountable to the experiments they're doing, because in order for them to share their results, they're reviewed by several peers. So if you read a peer-reviewed journal article, you know that it's been reviewed by several non-biased peers, so that what those scientists are doing is as accurate as possible. If you have any questions about that literature review, let me know. All right, and then at the end of module 2 in 2 weeks, you do have a chapter 1 test. We take our tests via Google Forms. So I don't have a proctor. I don't have someone giving you your test for this class. I expect you to, do these tests without notes as much as you can. You're going to want to study ahead of time and do the tests with no notes. But when you see chapter 1 tests, you'll be taken to a Google form where I receive all your results that way. I will give you another assignment or opening video at the beginning of module 2 where you have another lab called a bubble activity lab from your textbook. But I'm going to stop there for the opening video. It's great to have you guys in this course. Let me know if you have any questions, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.